All right, next up we're going to do what is called analogous shading. Analogous is side by side on the color wheel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do yellow and blue. When you do this, I want you to use yellow as your primary or your base color. So use yellow and blue or yellow and red. So yellow and blue to make greens, or yellow and red to make oranges. Don't do red and blue or any other colors. Only use these two just for this practice one. Okay. So again, if you've got all four of these petals, now we're going to overlap some petals, and you can just draw them on anywhere. I'm going to go right over the top of this, and you're going to notice, actually I'm going to go down here, that some of this yellow will cover up and some of it will not. So kind of the same basic processes of what we just did here, except for yellow is going to be our starting spot, and then our blue is going to be up the top. So as we mix through, it should get the greens. So we're going to start out with a clean brush, dry it off really good. I'm going to add some yellow, and I'm going to put it on kind of thick. And it's really thick, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. I'm going to put it over in this compartment. You may have to clean out your water. If your water's really dirty, it may kind of, mine's got a little bit of blue in it, so it may start turning this. But you do want to kind of water down. So I'm going to go about halfway up again, maybe about a third of the way up with the yellow. And put a nice coat on. Remember, we want it kind of thick. If you got it thin, it's going to dry out before we get to it. All right, now what we need to do next is get our extra palette again, or you can use what's inside of here, but yet let's use this as a blending palette. So I'm going to add some yellow in here, and now we're going to mix with our greens. And we're just going to add a little bit of blue. You can mix it, you don't need to get green. All right, so let's use the natural color. So adding some blue in here, it makes it like a yellow green, which is what we want. Add a little bit of water. This yellow is really thick, so I'm going to thin it down just a little bit. And then I'm going to put that right over the top, kind of overlap over the top of that yellow, and go up just a little bit further. And then I'm going to do a little bit more blue in there, so it's more of a green. And I'm just going to stop right there, and then I'm going to overlap that a little bit. Again, you don't want to do all the way up because this paint is going to dry. We want to do this so we can keep the paint wet. Remove these edges nice. Notice I'm using my smaller brush. Okay, I'm going to clean it out again. Clean it out, and I'm going to dry it out. And I'm trying the whole handle down because water gets up in here and comes down. So it's damp. I'm going to start at the yellow, work my yellow into it. And now I'm going to work across and blend that yellow green. Keep going across and blend into the original green. Kind of go back and forth. Now I'm going to try to clean up this edge just a little bit. You can see, and I've seen a couple of you kind of do this to kind of blend it in on the edge, which is fine as long as you go back over it and clean it up this way. So you guys are going to find out your own little tricks that work and what doesn't. So I'm going to go back. If my paint is dried up, which it seems to be, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow since I still have it. Work it into my brush, and again, go back and forth. And work it in there. So remember, a damp or your lighter color can kind of use to be blended in there. All right, so now what we got to do is get that blue in. I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit. Sorry, there's a glare. When I zoom in, it doesn't seem to be as bad. So now I'm going to go straight blue, all right? And I'm going to go just up here at the top. I probably could have done a blue-green. Matter of fact, I might do that. So do this blue first. And I'm just doing a little bit. Yesterday I noticed a lot of you guys went really heavy with the black, so I'm going to take the blue and add it to this green. Since making a new blue-green, a lot of blue in this one. There's that dark blue-green. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it because it's thick. And put that on top of here. Try to keep my edges nice and clean. Pull that in. And then again, rinse off my brush. Dry it off. And start one way or the other. So let's start the blue this time. Not a lot of room. I'm going to pull that down kind of like I showed you the last time first. Then I'm going to kind of go back and forth. Work it in. It's hard to do it with a small area. That's the tough part too. We're going to try to work this into that regular green. Alright, fun fact. Fun Miss V fact. Actually, it's very funny that art became one of my passions. I always liked art as a kid, but I was actually in the band in high school. I was in the band a lot, loved to play the drums. Played the drum set, and then we ended up getting a new band director. Didn't quite enjoy it as much. We did a lot of marching band, and I didn't care for the marching band. I just liked playing the drum set, so I quit. And when I quit, I started taking more art classes. And like I said, I always enjoyed it. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy it, but I always kind of wondered if I wouldn't have quit those band classes if I ever would have been an art teacher. If I wasn't an art teacher, if I still went into teaching, oh, and by the way, never wanted to be a teacher. Never dreamt I'd be a teacher. Wanted to go in that commercial art field that I told you on the first one. I don't know what I would have been. If I would have been another teacher now, I'd probably be a history teacher. I think history is really kind of cool. Another funny thing, hated history in high school. So don't worry. Sometimes your dreams don't always come true, but they work out. I never, like I said, never expected to be a teacher, but it's one of the greatest things I've ever done. I love it, but it is kind of funny how I never planned on it. So, okay, you can kind of see how I go back and forth on that. So what you're going to do is go from yellow to either blue or yellow to red. So you're going to go yellow, green, blue, or yellow, orange, red. So in yours, actually, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, or yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, orange, red. All right, so that's analogous.